But the whole I'm planning to, I was like, hey, that sounds a lot like my New Year's resolutions. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
planning to go to the gym more. I definitely am not, but I'm
yeah. But you were
planning
planning
to.
to.
Hello, everybody.
Good
Hello,
day.
Internet.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to episode 260.
Oh my God, you just read my brain. I was like, we better say the episode number right
Yeah,
at the top because
260.
we always forget to say. And 260 is impressive.
That's
I
pretty
know there's
big.
other podcasts.
That's a lot of outrage factories.
That's a lot of podcasts.
That's a lot of podcasts.
That's a lot of talking. The funniest thing I noticed last week we did the Bigfoot where we talked
Yep.
about Bigfoot jizz and stuff, and the one before that we did Luigi
Oh,
Mangione,
that's right. The
and
mange.
I do like an audio version and a video version. So the video goes to YouTube,
Yep.
and the Bigfoot podcast was popular for the video version,
Yeah.
but like no one watched Luigi Mangione. But on the audio version, a shit ton of people listened to Luigi Mangione,
Oh, interesting.
but nobody listened to Bigfoot.
Huh. Bigfoot's
So
a visual thing, maybe.
yeah,
Yes.
I guess.
People wanted to see us making ape grape faces.
Yeah, they're like, I need to see the face when they're talking about
I
Bigfoot jizz.
want to look at the idiots that are talking about Bigfoot.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's
funny
us.
because
It's us.
I was thinking about this like my New Year's resolution is to make more money because I was thinking about New Year's resolutions
Mhm.
and something else we're going to talk about in the future, and I'll tell you how they're correlated.
Okay.
But my New Year's resolution was to make more money, i.e., sell out. And then I was like, I don't think I even could sell out at this point because I'm 45.
Yeah, it's like late for us
I already
to
have a
sell
full
out.
time job.
Yeah,
And it's like for this podcast,
we're already
I
working
don't
for a
even know
man.
what selling out would look like. Like,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
and I decided I wouldn't sell out, but I would definitely take the meeting because
I would definitely. Yeah, for
it would
sure.
just be hilarious to be in an office setting with like important adults who have
Mhm.
money, and they'd be like, we need you to change some stuff about your program, and I'd be
Yeah,
like what? And I just want them to tell me to stop saying Bigfoot and Sasquatch jizz because it would be
that's it.
funny.
Your numbers are tracking really high, Mr. DeRuiter. We do have a concern with the amount of times that you say
Mhm.
Bigfoot jizz. We're going to
Yeah.
need you to tone that back. Maybe try something like Bigfoot mayo or
Yeah.
Bigfoot. Yeah.
Bigfoot,
So,
Bigfoot
yeah.
mayo.
Bigfoot mayo.
They're like,
Yeah.
we're gonna need you to 100% never talk about ape grape ever again.
Ever again. Yeah. That's one of
Ever
that'll be one of the
again.
conditions and stipulations of this meeting is that you never again say those terms upon the internet.
And then I would be like, you're in luck because this week we're talking about adult
Totally,
political
totally
subjects.
different things. Yeah. So like,
Oh, and
we're not talking.
also, just saying this week reminded me, this is the first time we've done an episode 2 weeks in a row.
Holy crap. Yeah. Wow.
Because usually we take them like we go every other week
Yeah.
because of the child.
Yeah.
Everything's the child's fault. It's not me being
Every,
lazy. It'd be like,
no.
oh, I didn't do any
And
research or
it's not
whatever.
me being completely unavailable 90% of the time. It's totally it's other things,
Yeah.
other factors involved.
But yeah, so I also wanted to talk about a couple things while they're still fresh in our
Ooh,
brainies,
fresh in the brains.
like Trudeau. Oh, this is
Okay. Yeah.
why I thought about what I thought about when I was thinking about like New Year's resolutions. But
Mhm.
first, do you have a New Year's resolution?
No, I stopped making New Year's resolutions somewhere in the early 2000s.
Wow, that's a long time ago. Are
Yeah.
you anti New Year's resolutions, or are you
Nope.
just like, eh?
So this maybe I should make a resolution. Maybe I should make an outrage factory resolution on the show.
Mhm.
I've got to get better at setting goals. Just personally, I'm a little drifty here and there. I know you made the face.
Do you
And
have do you have the same thing I do where you have that Gen X underachiever thing
yep, one
where
hundred
you're like,
percent.
I don't want to set goals because I don't want to fail and I don't want to
Yeah,
feel like I failed at something, so I'll
I
just
can't show
underachieve.
weakness, so I'll just
Yeah.
underachieve instead. It's just easier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just underachieve with a side help, a heaping side helping of sarcasm to go along with it. Just
I
to
mean, you're doing pretty good for this
thanks,
day and age because you own a place to live
I
and you
do.
have a family
I
and a
do have a
job.
family. you have family and they love me, I think.
Love.
I'm just like looking over my shoulder, like maybe they love me. I'm not really sure. Sometimes you have to ask. You have to ask for what you want
I
in this
mean,
life.
does your
Though.
teenage child tell you to fuck off?
No, he doesn't. And I
Oh,
think
then you're
so. I'm
doing
thinking I'm
better
doing
than
okay.
my dad did.
Yeah, exactly. Same. Very much the same. Yeah,
Because
totally.
by the time I was your son's age, I definitely was
Yeah, told to fuck
yelling
off
matches
multiple
with my
times.
father.
100%. And like today we played radio controlled trucks together. So I think we're
Dope.
okay.
I mean, if
Okay.
my dad bought me and played radio control trucks with me, I probably never would have sworn at him.
Yeah. I mean, there's that. I mean, my dad did lots of stuff for us, but
Oh yeah,
there's
of
still a lot
course.
of
Like I
yelling
mean,
and swearing.
they kept
But
us
yeah,
alive, so
they
they
continue to keep us alive.
technically
But they kept us
succeeded
alive,
as
and
a
they're like,
parent.
"You fucking owe me. You owe me for
Yeah,
keeping you alive. Did you know that I would have $1 million if I didn't have you right now?" I'm like, no, that's not how that works at all. You would
prove it,
definitely
Dad.
not. You would definitely not have $1 million.
I will
Yeah,
build a time machine just to prove you wrong on that
yeah,
fact, Father.
totally. So yeah, so he's never said anything. Actually, you know what? Like we don't really yell. We're pretty open with our communication. He did ditch me today, which is like,
Oh
no,
no.
he like, so we were playing RC cars out in the
Yeah.
back. We're just playing with our little trucks. And he just kind of looked at me and he mumbled something and I didn't really hear him. And he went
Yeah.
in the house and he just disappeared.
Oh yeah. He's like,
So I'm just
I
like,
want to play video games.
I guess I'll just clean this shit up then. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. So it's, but we don't yell at each other, and he's genuinely a really good kid. So
Oh, that's
I think
awesome.
I think we're okay. I think we're okay.
Was it intestinal distress? Was he like,
It,
I really gotta go
I
shit?
found out later he was a shit. Yeah. He just ditched for a shit. It was 100% he ditched for a poop. Like, yeah, he was gone and I came upstairs and he just had this funny look on his face and his bathroom light was on. So I'm like, okay.
Very understandable.
He's pooping. I get it. Yeah.
There's been many a times when I was with someone and I was like, I gotta go shit.
I've done that on this show. I've done that on this show to you. I'm just like, hey, I gotta go for 5 to 7 minutes. Yeah.
I enjoyed that thoroughly. Not because I enjoy you shitting, but I love awkward body talk.
It was like, I just like, man, I was trying to hold it and you're just like, keep talking and you're reading something from Wikipedia. And I'm like, I'm going to shit my pants on the show. So
I wouldn't shut up and I was boring. That's the natural arch nemesis of shitting.
and I'm so polite that I'm just sitting there sweating. Like, I'm going to poop my fucking pants. I'm going to poop my fucking pants. And Dylan, shut up.
You're just like,
how do I politely interject that I need to go to the bathroom real quick?
You're just like, Dale, I gotta go in the house, just clean up all the shit by yourself.
My wife's like, how's the podcast? I shit myself while we were broadcasting. So it's good.
I ruined my $500 jeans.
Yeah. Did you like that office chair? Because if that wasn't throwback, it's good. I hope you do like that office chair because that is lightly shat.
Hey, next time we go office chair shopping, we should look into pressure washing abilities.
Let's get one with a cleanable seat.
Yeah.
No reason. Can we hose this one down?
Yeah, that's like why in the past they had plastic chairs. It wasn't because they're cheap and couldn't afford leather. It's just because they shat themselves
100%.
all the time.
100%.
And they wanted to hose them off.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, back on track. So I was thinking about New Year's resolutions because the hairdo, Mr. Trudeau, and if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, we've talked about Trudeau since his inception. At first, I hated him. I thought of him as a necessary annoyance to deal with the Liberal Party, which was the least worst of the 3 political parties in Canada.
There's more
3 main ones.
Yeah, there's 3 main ones. Yeah.
Conservatives, whatever their name is, they change it all the time. Then there's Liberals, and there's NDP.
Yeah.
There's Green Party, there's Bloc Québécois, but we don't care about those because they don't have a chance.
Party never really does anything.
But
Québécois is specific to
I hate the Conservatives because they just cut money for everything, and then they're like, "Oh, we fixed our budgets." Like, yeah, because you didn't give anybody shit. It's like your dad being like, "I would have had $1 million if I never had
if I didn't have you."
The conservative government's like, "Hey,
I
have $1 million
because I gave away all my children."
But your healthcare sucks now, and we cut the housing funding thing in the 90s, and that's why we have a housing crisis now. Because in the up until the 90s, the Canadian government spent a couple $100,000 on building houses to keep up with the need for houses, and then some conservative dickhead was like, "We don't need this. People will always have money for houses."
Totally.
And then the problem just compounded. So, anyways, Trudeau was a necessary evil. I hated him at first, but then I just grew to love him because I don't know, smart people about politics, they say that a politician shouldn't just be a fair weather guy who like just changes his mind to what the populace wants. But to me, that's the best politician because with Trudeau, if everybody made enough noise one way, he would just lean that way. And it was fucking amazing. I mean, it sucked for COVID because everybody was scared. So he did lockdowns, but he didn't do, he held off on the like vaccination passport longer than a lot of other people would because he's like, I don't think it's a good idea. But then the demand rose and then he did it. And one thing, this is why everybody hates Trudeau and is happy he like quit, like the conservatives in the States. It's the fucking trucker convoy.
Yeah.
And the thing that nobody understands about the trucker convoy, because they're all like, oh, he just fucking declared martial law to get rid of the truckers. It's like, well, no, not at first. He took a long time, longer than many Canadians wanted him to, because he like put it off. He's like, we don't want to get rid of them. They're being peaceful. And then he goes to the truckers. He's like, hey, cucks, stop honking stop the air horns.
It's
at
loud.
10 p.m.
Yeah.
That was the only thing he said. He was like, I understand what you're doing. It's out of our control because they were saying that they didn't want to have to get a vaccine passport to go trucking into the States.
Right. Yeah. Because it affects
But he doesn't even have control of that. That was fucking Biden.
That was totally. That was the US. Yeah.
And so Trudeau's like, look, we can't handle this, whatever. Just stop blowing your horns. And they didn't stop blowing their horns. And I, for one, was like, you fucking like,
now you've done it. Now you've done it. You stepped right in it.
Yeah. And the ironic thing was the Occupy Wall Street, every conservative hated those. And it was just fucking gross dudes in a tent.
Yeah.
They were making a little bit of like playing bongos. Like the conservatives are like, kick them out, put them in jail. They're playing bongos.
I lived on Commercial Drive for 2 years. That was like my entire weekend experience was listening to bongos for the all night. Yeah.
Now replace those bongos with fucking semi-air horns.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad he called martial law to get rid of those fuckers. Yeah. But he did go too far with the money thing. But that's also like, that's one of those things where you're like, because it was like he tried. Like the reasoning they had was they cut funding because it was coming from out of country. So technically it was political interference or something. Like it was like something where since the money was coming from funders in the States, it had some like he had legal recourse to close down the bank. Like he froze bank accounts, which I'm not okay with. Like I was okay with them like stopping the GoFundMe that was like funded by people in the States, but then they like went after people's bank accounts and froze them, and
I totally
I'm not
forgot
okay
about
with that.
Yeah,
but
that's a little bit borderline. Like that's an invasion of privacy to a degree, right? Like, you can't.
Yeah. So everybody's basically hated him, and the carbon tax, which
the carbon tax is pretty.
They give you back, like you get. You like as Canadians,
you don't though.
Oh, you don't?
We don't. If you're over a certain wage threshold, you don't get any money back. So this is the thing. I was talking about this. Somebody brought it up on Blue Sky a little while ago. They're like, "Hey, I didn't."
You're on Blue Sky?
Yeah, man. I've been on Blue Sky since its inception.
How is it? Is it woke? Because I heard it was woke.
It's all right. I mean, I don't really follow that many people, and I don't check on it very often. Which is same with my TikTok, which we'll get to later. But there's a thing like on Blue Sky that somebody's like, how come I didn't get my fucking rebate check for the carbon tax? So I was curious because I'm like, I didn't get one either. And I went and I looked, and BC and Quebec don't get it unless you make under like the $34,000 a year threshold. Then you get the carbon tax rebate. But anybody above that wage thing, like basically effectively like. It's like a median poverty line thing. So in British Columbia, we don't get the carbon tax rebate.
See, it's funny because I never got the carbon tax rebate.
Yeah.
But it's because I didn't know that, but I defaulted on my student loans, which are now paid off.
Oh shit.
Thanks to Trudeau, because they've had like federal student loans have had interest rates paused for like 3 years. Yeah. But I eventually paid those off. But I also Alberta, I had a whole bunch. I had like $1,900 worth of speeding tickets.
Yeah,
but they're all photo radar and speed on green.
Oh, right. Yeah.
and legally they can't stop you from renewing your license or getting a driver's license or like renewing your insurance because they can't like 100% prove it was you driving.
Right.
So since I could just renew my license and this was 10 years ago, I was like, fuck it, whatever. And then that also went to collections. So
Oh, man.
any of my GST checks, my tax
They'll
returns,
get garnished wages.
anything. I didn't get my wages garnished, but
No,
anything
I
that
mean
was
anything was tax related or like a rebate from the government.
coming from the government just went to them. And it's funny because I got a $300 check in the mail.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? And it was from CRA. And I was like, my loans are done. And that's the only way I knew how my loans were done. Was because totally. I had overpaid.
You'd overpaid and they gave it back. Yep. I did that too. Actually, when I paid my student loan off, I was 30, I want to say 34 or 36. I can't remember. I paid my student loan off and I did the same thing. I overpaid. And the only reason I stopped paying. So what happens is like I made that payment. I made another payment, but it already was finished. And then by the time CRA gave me my like, hey, you paid your student loan, I'd already made another payment at my bank because it was, it was like over a decade ago now, right? And the banking system was a little slower. It wasn't as digital as it is now. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I had made another payment on it. And so they had to send me another check. And they were like, I was like, man, they sent me a check for like $48. I was like, oh, they must hate me right now. One time too, this is a weird like total aside, has nothing to do with anything, but it was a check I got back. It was Harley Davidson Financial. It was one of my motorbikes that I paid off. And I'd overpaid by 6 cents and they sent me a check for 6 cents.
That's hilarious. Did you keep it?
I have it. It's right here. I have it like in this drawer.
Right here. That's amazing.
No, it's in the drawer right here.
You answered my prayers. Like I was like, I hope he still has this. And one day he shows me and you're like, oh no, fuck no. I have this hilarious thing right here.
Oh shit. No, I have a different one for $6.77.
From who?
From Harley Davidson Financial Services.
You have two checks.
I have two checks.
Oh, I guess don't show me because it might have numbers.
Well, no, it's long gone deposited.
Yeah, show me.
Let's see.
Ooh, Harley Davidson.
Hold up. There it is. How do I make it not blurry?
You turn blur off, but it's fine.
There, we got $6.77.
Nice. And the note is for having a giant pee-pee.
For having a really big hog.
It's funny because you're like, I was 34 and I paid off my student loans, and I was like, I was 45.
Nice. No, I'll have to find the 6 cent one. I have one for I kept it too because it was fucking hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, 6 cents, $0.06.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
So back on track.
Sorry.
25 minutes later, I will get to how New Year's resolutions, or how Trudeau reminded me of New Year's resolutions. It's the way he said he's quitting. Because he made a statement and he says, I'm planning to step down as prime minister and the leader of the Liberal Party as soon as they have a leadership race, and I want to give them time, blah, blah, blah. You can look it up exactly what I said. But the whole I'm planning to, I was like, hey, that sounds a lot like my New Year's resolution. Like, I'm planning to go to the gym more. I definitely am not, but I'm planning to right now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so resolution was like I'm having an alcoholic beverage right now because I don't make resolutions and I don't do dry January. That's all horseshit. So I don't drink that much anyway. I'm just having a margarita because it sounded delicious.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, he hasn't actually resigned yet.
No.
Right? So he kind of
planning to.
He made a resolution to resign and then just hasn't fucking followed through with it yet. And that's fine, right? And that's like I think that's the part of this whole thing that I find the most entertaining is people on like Instagram and Facebook and social media in general that are like, Trudeau's fucking leave it. Trudeau's resigned. Yay, he's gone. That fucker's out of office. I can't wait for Peter Polyev to be the prime minister. And I'm like, yeah, he's not gone and he won't be gone. It is probably going to be about a year to like 6 to 8 months to a year before he's even remotely done. With
the very, very earliest attempt, because he also, as he was planning to resign, said he prorogued government. And if you're not from Canada, prorogue just means like government shutdown. In the States, they call it government shutdown, but here it's like when they just do that when like, and they usually do it over winter anyway because they don't do much because they're out not doing their New Year's resolutions.
Totally. They're out not resigning from government. Totally. Yeah,
they're out making plans. But it's like, and it's funny because what was that chick who stepped down? His finance minister?
His finance minister, Adrian. Oh my God. Jeff, you're better than this. I knew it.
Yeah, that's fine. I
can look
forgot
it up.
too. And it's funny because she's one of the ones that could be in contention, or not contention, in the running for the head of the liberal thing. Oh, and you know who else might go up for running the federal Liberal Party?
Her name. Don't even say her name.
The heavies, Christy Clark.
Krista Friedland. That's who it was there.
Oh yeah, bunch of Christies.
Yeah, Christy Clark.
Christy Cresta.
She was our premier at one time.
She was BC's
Columbia.
premier.
Yeah.
Before Hogan fucked her with a loophole.
But yes,
Horgan.
Yeah. Hogan fucked her with a loophole.
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. So what happened was it was actually kind of similar because Christy Clark won. And then they said that she was like, they did a no confidence vote. Yeah. So that just means that the like main party is like, we don't think she can be a proper leader, which is what they're going to try to do to Trudeau. Yeah. They've been threatening to do that.
Been threatening for a while.
So they did that. And then she won again. But then Horgan and whoever was Liz May still head of the Green Party?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the NDP, the provincial NDP and the provincial Green Party, they're like, we're just going to get together.
And they formed majority or something, isn't that?
Yeah, and then they formed a coalition government.
Coalition government.
The same way Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh
did,
joined together to stay in power last election.
Yeah, correct.
Or keep majority. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, to keep majority house. Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny thing,
I was just reading the news about like Christy Clark is like currently in a court hearing session about the money laundering through BC casinos.
Oh yeah.
It was a big deal. And she's like been kind of like, you know how like politicians just lie? That's just like what they do.
That's what they do. Yeah.
That's what they do. So she's just been like in court lying about that whole situation as well.
Mm-hmm.
And like blatantly, and nobody seems to care. They're just still writing about it. It's super weird.
Don't you get in a whole bunch of shit if you lie in court? I mean, unless you're Fauci, you're supposed to get in trouble.
If you're a politician and you lie in court, it doesn't really like, when has it ever really been like, if normal people lie in court, you go to jail longer.
Yeah.
If politicians lie in court, they laugh it off and they walk away.
I
hate to be jaded about that shit, but that's usually what happens.
Is it called perjury in Canada, or is that just the States?
It's just the States. It's called
so funny.
Breach of something in Canada. Fuck, I should remember this.
It's called like not being nice to the nanny state.
Yes.
Got to throw in a nanny state.
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
I know I'm looking it up now because I need to know, because I forget what it's called. It has like a
American
terms. I guess they have perjury laws. Canada has perjury laws.
Yeah,
but it's not called that when somebody.
Yeah, you don't perjure.
Oh, no, it is.
Yourself.
I guess perjury is like making false statements to a court as a witness, making false statements to a court in a written affidavit, and making false statements during a deposition. It's just this. I think just the situation.
Look at old big brain politics, Dale. Our
attaboy, Dale.
Lawyer stuff, Dale.
Yeah, law. Lawyer stuff. That was longer than saying law. Yeah, totally.
Law. I know the law about law.
Law.
Is that real?
I think it is. It is law. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything more you want to say on Trudeau?
Oh yeah. The other thing I was going to say was, I wanted to talk, I wanted to go from Trudeau back to Trump because
here we go.
Even though this 51st state thing has been going on, we haven't talked about it yet.
No.
So, and it hasn't even been a month, Jeff. This fucking thing kicked off December 18th. I'll read you the actual tweet that Trump kicked off this whole thing. Yeah. December 18th. Sorry, not a tweet, not an X post, a Truth Social
post. There we go.
So this is from Trump. This is what he posted on December 18th. No one can answer why we subsidize Canada to the tune of over $100 million or $100 billion a year, which is false. It's not that much. Yeah. Anyways, so okay. I'll read this and then I'll explain what it means.
Okay.
I'm gonna start over because you can't stop in Trump because his punctuation is so wild anyway. So I'm sorry.
There's
Sorry
a
if you're
million
listening.
things.
Gonna
There's a
start
million,
over.
$100 billion.
No one can answer why we subsidize Canada to the tune of over 100 billion a year. Makes no sense. There's an exclamation mark. Many Canadians want Canada to become the 51st state. They would save massively on taxes and military protection. I think it is a great idea. 51st state! Like 6 exclamation points.
Oh my God.
So what he's talking about is the import export between Canada and the US.
Right.
The states export like 400 and some odd $billion from Canada, and Canada imports 300 and some odd from the states.
Right.
So Trump, in his dumb Trump brain, is like, that means we're like
yeah, $100 billion
them.
apart. Yeah.
But it doesn't. What it actually means is that the states has more people than they have resources.
Yes.
So they have to buy resources from someone else. So if you like, Trump's like, oh, we're giving them $100 billion, but it's probably more like we're selling them shit for cheaper than they can make
then
it.
they can,
so they buy it.
Yeah.
And then I can't, so that's how that started, like December 18th. And then like a bunch of chodes on the internet are like, maybe we should be the 51st state.
Oh my God.
And then some other chodes, like the guy I work with, he was all like, we're just going to be the 51st state. You might as well just accept it. And then I was like, no, because, oh yeah. And the other thing was, the reason he said this was because he said when he comes in, he's going to make 25% universal tariffs across the board.
Yeah.
But that's also been walked back already, because what you would think when you say universal tariffs across the board, you think anything that goes from this Canada to the States is getting 25% tariff on it.
Yeah.
But what they like loophole mingle legalese made it say was
law.
Every country is going to have something that has 25% tariff on it universally. So what that is like being interpreted as is now something from Canada is going to have 25% tariff on it.
They did it with steel last time.
Yeah. So I think it's just like it's turning more into a loophole catch so that China doesn't sell stuff to us and then we sell it to them.
Yeah.
So it's like so that like people don't have stopovers to go around tariffs or whatever. Yeah. And then another thing he said was he's all up his own ass about cars. He was like 20% of our cars come from Canada, or we give them 20% of our cars. He's like, why do we do that? We don't need that. We'll stop doing that. It's like, okay, what are you gonna do? Fucking rebuild Detroit?
Yeah, rebuild Detroit. Yeah,
build a time machine and not offshore all your jobs.
If I remember correctly, there's still car plants in Ontario that are producing some cars.
Somebody was telling me there's like he explained it to me and it was boring, so I didn't pay attention. But he said like across the border from where Detroit is, there's a big plant in
that's correct in like Windsor,
in Ontario,
Windsor, somewhere. Like
so they probably were like sister things, and then some fucking corporate chode 20 years ago or whatever was like, we'll make them cheaper in Canada and we'll fuck everybody here and got their jobs and whatever, and then Detroit will die. And now Trump's like,
and then it did.
And then Trump's like, why do we do this? It's like, dude, just fucking look at the corporate structure of America.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. The whole thing that's like bothering me with this whole 51st state thing is like, for me as a logic following person, 51st state is such a weird fucking concept with a country that is this big.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be multiple jurisdictions. It's not going to be the 51st state. If you annex Canada, like, and I think that's the thing that I find the funniest is that people like, maybe we should be the 51st state. Canada's fucking huge. Canada is diverse, both in resources and people and the way the whole country is set up. Like, if we're at least 9 states, Canada's at least the very least 9 states. If you just go vertically and get rid of the, like if you were to annex it, like, fuck, man, it's so ridiculous. But it does make things like Cascadia more appealing, right? Like that whole concept of like you break it down into economic zones rather than that. Like, you've heard this topic before, right? Like, you've heard people talk about Cascadia before.
Yeah, but explain it for the people who don't know.
My understanding of Cascadia is it's basically British Columbia, part of the Yukon, Alaska, Oregon, California, Washington. It's like divided by,
and the name comes
zones.
from the Cascade Mountains.
Cascade Mountains. Yeah, it's that kind of like that joining part, right? And then you have like the Dakotas and Alberta kind of formed together because it's all that plains area is all together. Like you put the economic resources into like states effectively.
Yeah.
So if that was going to happen, right? There's better ways to do it than just being like the 51st state. So it's all bullshit because zero thought's been put into it. Zero thought's been put into it. The thing that bothers me is that everybody keeps talking about it.
Yeah.
As Canada as the 51st state. So people are clearly open to the idea of letting the US take over our country, or at some point people are at the very least open to merging the countries together. And then not without realizing the fucking impact that would actually have on everybody.
Yeah, I think like if they were going to do it, they would have to just like make every province a state. So you'd have like
absolutely
the 51st to 64th or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how I just say dumb shit because I like to piss people off.
Yeah, that's your whole thing. Yeah.
I would be okay with Canada being the 51st state just so I could watch Quebec absolutely shit its mind.
My God. No, because that's the thing with Quebec, for sure it would be its own sovereign thing regardless.
It would be part of the state.
It'd be like it'd be like Luxembourg or fucking one of those European countries.
Northern Ireland.
Sits in the middle. No, do not bring up Northern Ireland. Don't even start with that.
Have they figured out what Ireland's going to do with Brexit yet?
Yeah, I don't.
Nobody can answer that.
Nobody can. Oh my God, no! Quebec would remain sovereign. It would be its own little country within the boundaries of the in the Gulf of America.
You want to hear something funny? Sorry to digress.
No, go for it.
But somebody
ran out of steam.
You know how once in a while I'll read a conspiracy here.
Once in a while, every blue moon,
I'll dabble into the conspirasphere and see what's going on. Do you want to hear one of the theories on why he wants to call it the Gulf of America?
Yeah, I do want to hear that.
Because Biden passed a law saying that they will never be able to drill for oil in the Gulf of Mexico. So if you call it the Gulf of America,
that is now moot.
Yeah. 40 chest Trump.
Wow.
You change your name. I'm drilling.
Yeah, totally. Wow. Yeah. So now they can look for oil in there. Huh? So that's actually an interesting conspiracy theory. I mean, I'm sure there's other jurisdictional things around that they wouldn't allow.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a little more than that, but
Donald
it's also
Trump's
like
brain and in the community. The problem, the thing is, when he says shit, is that it becomes collective consciousness, and everyone's like, "Oh fuck yeah, that's legit. That's law. That's the real law. That's the whole thing." Yeah,
he's
Trump
like
said it. It's real now.
He's tulpa-ing laws.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's just like you said with the whole Canada can't be one state thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think that you can just rename it the Gulf of America.
No, you
could they could.
Sure,
like it's one of those things where countries can just put whatever they want on their own maps. But Mexico's not going to be calling that.
I try not to talk about work too much on the podcast. One of my coworkers did say, like, we were talking about this very subject, and they said, like, I hope for everyone's sake that there are enough checks and balances in the US to stop it. So when Trump just says shit, it doesn't just happen, right? Because people think it just happens when he says it. They're like, the president has, what is that power that the president has where they just say it? And
executive order.
Yeah. They just can make an executive order and it just happens. But there's not. There's fucking checks and balances.
There's so many.
And that's the thing. And like when Trump says shit, everyone believes it and everyone starts buying into it. And everyone's like, oh yeah, they're going to make Canada the 51st state. And like, this is a thing. Like when he says it, people fucking do it. We're in for 4 more years. Like, don't you think that the last 4 years were very peaceful in terms of like shit that Trump did, like politically peaceful? Right?
I don't know. There's 2 proxy wars going on right now.
By comparison to the second Trump is even back in the spotlight to saying ridiculous shit like annexing Canada and
like
bodies of water
at home. it's going to be worse. But like Biden's foreign policy has
terrible,
been the worst
garbage.
since they fucking bombed Cambodia pretty much.
Man, like, I'm not excusing Biden. I'm just saying, like,
but yeah, like on the home front, you're right.
You know what I'm talking about, right? In general, in the general consciousness, we had a little bit of Trump ridiculousness here and there, and now we're in for another fucking 4 years of Trump saying stuff and everybody on the internet fucking believing that that's what's going to happen now.
I'm white pilled. I'm just hopeful. I'm hopeful it's going to be good. Like all these guys in the States who like say he's going to do good things. I'm hopeful for that. But I had a thought when you were talking about checks and balances and executive orders. There are a lot of executive order or checks and balances because like how Obama basically had to petition the government for 6 years to get Obamacare to pass.
Yes.
And then Trump kept trying to do these executive orders. So I just had this thought. What if executive orders don't actually work? It's just what they say happens. Like, so Biden had this executive order like back when they didn't want, like when they had their whole speaker thing. When the speaker quit because they didn't want to send money to fucking Ukraine. And then Biden had an executive order and they sent money to Ukraine. But it's like you're saying, with checks and balances, they can stop them. So what if it's just like they stopped them, but they sent the money anyway and just said it was an executive order. So they don't have to do executive orders, but they kind of just put them through so that they could just blame the president,
the sitting president. Yeah.
So like when Trump has an executive order, they like don't have to let it go through at all, but they do. So they could just be like, that crazy Trump guy just did what we secretly wanted to do, but
anyway, but
couldn't say it out loud.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know. This, like, man, the older I'm getting and like the more I like see things happening around me, the more I'm like, you just got to do what you can and ask for what you want and take what you can in this life. And I hate to be that, but that's a reflection of what's going on politically. Right.
Yeah. Well, for me in the States, it was like, I wanted Trump to win, not because I like Trump at all, not because I like the Republicans, but the DNC, like the Democratic National Committee and Convention. We had that argument.
We had that discussion. Yeah.
But the DNC just fucked around too much. I'm still mad they fucked Bernie Sanders over in 2016. So I'm glad they lost just so they can take a good look inside and be like, as the DNC, has our fuckery been too much?
It's been too much.
Because they basically fucked around so much they got 2 Trump terms.
Yeah. Yep.
And that is wild.
That's there was one of the stats I was reading just the other day was like, because I was curious about it. There's only been like 2 other non-consecutive presidential sittings in the US, but they happened like in the 1800s and the 1700s or something, or 1800s.
Wasn't Garfield one?
Garfield was one, and
I don't actually know that. I just heard it on a podcast.
No, it was Garfield and one of the I want to say Andrew Jackson, but I'm not sure if that's right. Nice. There were 2 other ones before Trump where they had like non-consecutive presidential sittings.
Yeah, but they can't now. When did they get the 2-term limit thing?
2-term limit?
Like how you could serve 8 years max.
Yeah, you can 8 years max.
I think that was after World War II, wasn't it?
Oh, Grover Cleveland. That was the only other one. Yeah. Grover Cleveland was the 22nd and 24th president.
It's funny because I listen to podcasts about politics so much, and then it just goes like, just blows through my head like a leaf in the wind. But it was like, there was something that happened where the States was like, because Canada doesn't have term limits. Like technically Trudeau could serve for the next 50 years if he got elected. Were we
talking about that last week, or was I talking to somebody else about that?
You were talking to someone else, but we have talked about it before.
We talked about this before, right? About the like in Canada, like a prime minister can sit for like a year, and there's been some that have been there for a couple of weeks. And there have been some that have been, I think there's one other one that served like 10 or 12 years. And like, it just, I think
14's the record.
14's the record. Yeah. That was right. And then,
because I was looking it up to bug people at work because they hate.
And the other record was like a week and a half or something. That was somebody who sat for,
But I think there was something that happened where they hated a president in the States so bad that they brought in term limits. And I feel like it was like, in the 20th century, like 1900s, and I feel like it was like the 40s or something.
Right.
Who was the guy?
I'm looking right now.
Who was I think it was Roosevelt, wasn't it? Because he was so like decrepit and his body shat itself and his legs didn't
Like me
work.
earlier on the show, or like me last time on the
Yeah.
podcast. Call
I,
back. To shit,
yeah,
shit
I
my
think it had
$500
something to do
beanie.
with somebody was like turned into an invalid while they were in there, and it
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
Biden.
The 20 it wasn't Biden. It should have been invoked at some point. It was February 27th, 1951. Amendment 22 to the Constitution of the United States was ratified on February 27th,
Who
1951,
was
and its term limits for presidency.
in the
Uh,
50s? That's even later than I
yeah,
thought.
yeah, the late 50s, like after my parents were born, even.
So wait, was that who was
I'm
president
trying to
here?
find out.
Who the
In the
presidents
50s?
were?
Yeah.
Was it the guy from World War II? The guy who took over?
Uh,
List of presidents. Hey, can you hear me type through my mic?
no, can you hear me type?
No.
Franklin Roosevelt.
I think it was Roosevelt.
It was Roosevelt. His unprecedented 4 terms in office. His concern was overreach after World War II. Congress was concerned about overreach because he was more involved with the military. He had executive overreach. And so term limits took effect 6 years after Roosevelt's death in 45.
Now they just let the CIA do the overreach. They
do
don't let the presidents
they
do
have
it.
agencies for that. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that is interesting. Like Canada doesn't have term limits, but nobody's really served for a super ass long time like that.
You know what's my favorite thing on how I like know the vague idea of like interesting facts about politics. Like I knew that they brought in the term
Yep.
limits because of a president, and I knew it within 50 years.
Yeah.
So I kind of be like, hey, I kind of knew that, but I
I kind
didn't.
of knew that. I sort of half knew that.
I kind of
Yeah.
listened to a podcast less than a week ago that said
Yeah,
that. So
that said that.
so
Yeah.
the like jello in my brain was still kind of imprinted with it.
I have this weird thing where like I read both the internet and also books and also articles. Like,
Books.
yeah, I know. And like, and so whenever I'm referencing something, when I'm trying to remember it, I'm like, did I read, was that like an Instagram reel, or was that an actual book, or was that a newspaper
Oh
article?
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what I'm referencing anymore. Was that a meme that I saw? I can't even fucking keep them straight anymore. It's
That was
terrible.
like when I was listening to a lot of audiobooks and podcasts. I
Yeah.
was like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
was that some fucking guy on a podcast
Yeah. Was that a
just
guy on a
running his
podcast?
mouth?
Yeah. Or did
Was
that
that
actually
like
happen? I'm turning into
adult
Trump.
information?
I'm turning into Trump right now. Like I read CBC like pretty like regularly, right? And then I also listen to garbage. I also listen to brain rot bullshit on my reels, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Oh yeah,
What am I
CBC just
referencing?
reminded me like back to 51st State Talk. Like one of my first thoughts was like that would be amazing because all the people in the states would like see how we live and be like, wait. And I'm not even talking about the like
What do you
healthcare
mean?
that we
Yeah,
have.
yeah. What do
I'm
you like?
talking
What?
about at will employment,
Oh,
which to me is
what?
the
Wait.
most fucked up thing in the world.
Explain. What do you
Okay.
mean?
So in Canada, we have
Yeah.
these things called the labor laws,
Yeah.
and each province has little
Yeah,
adjustments
they
that
have
they
adjustments to
fix.
each one. Yeah.
So we have federal labor laws and
Yeah.
provincial labor laws. In the states, in a whole bunch of states, they have this thing called at will employment where you could just get fired. Just fired for no reason because your boss doesn't want to pay you anymore, and that's
Right.
it.
Yeah.
So like you could have a job for 10 years, walk
like,
in,
no, I'm done.
and they're like, you're gone, shooter. And you're like, what? Whereas in Canada, we have these labor laws. So it's like you have to give people like fuck, I just forgot the word.
It's notice or severance.
Yeah. So you have to give people severance where it's like you pay them
You have to pay
a
them
certain amount of time
week.
based on how long they've worked there.
Yeah, you pay them a 1 week for every year they've been there.
Not anymore. They changed they neutered it a bit so it maxes out at 5 weeks.
Right.
But you do have to pay somebody. You can't just say you're fired, get the fuck out. You can be like, you're fired, get the fuck out. Here's a check, just here's shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's happened to me.
That's happened to me. It's generally
and
what
it
happens.
Is the greatest thing that ever happens because you like not only don't have to work the next day, but you get a bunch of money and you're like, fuck yeah. I mean, if you can't find another job, it sucks. But
dude, yeah, exactly. It's terrifying. It's not really, it's not as great as Dale says. In my experience, it has not been the greatest. That's not
okay. Would you have a trades job and you don't get to do a nice job like Jeff has. Like the thing about my job as a welder is it sucks, but I can always find another job
else. Yeah,
like I'll get paid less, or it'll be a little bit shittier. But if someone goes, "You're fucking fired," I'm like, "Oh, I'll go on the internet." Like last time I got laid off. Okay, here's a fucked up thing. I got laid off on a loophole where it was like a seasonal layoff. Like usually in Canada, if you get laid off, you go on unemployment or employment insurance, and then they pay you a certain percentage of your wages.
Yeah.
But there's this other thing called seasonal layoff where it's like if you work at a job or whatever, they could take up to 3 months. Then if they can't like hire you back or whatever, then you start getting unemployment. So my last job, since this was like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I was like installing stuff on job sites. So since I went to a job site, they seasonally laid me off. And so I didn't get unemployment. I didn't get like severance or anything, because if it was 3 months and then they had no work, then I would. But anyways, I had a job 2 days later.
Yeah.
And then on 3 months, like the day of, they called me. They're like, "Hey, do you want your job back?" I was like, "Fuck off." No. Yeah. So, okay. I take it back. Canada has dumb shit where you can do loopholes.
Yeah.
But we don't have at-will employment.
I find it funny too, man. Like growing up, remember you hear like these things on TV where they're like, because we have a lot of our media is U.S. media, right? A lot of our TV
just the good stuff.
You can't fire me, I quit. And like in Canada, you're like, no, just let them fire you because you get money.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, they have to prove why they fired you.
If you quit, you don't get access to employment insurance, and you don't get access to any severance funds.
Whereas in the States, it doesn't fucking matter. Except for on your resume, you could say I quit.
I quit. Yeah, exactly. If you quit in Canada, you get fucking nothing.
That's the thing. So it's like
quit a job here because they want you to stay employed, right?
Yeah.
If you quit a job, like most people will quit because they line something else up in ahead of time, right? Like I've done that before where I've like lined up a new job. So you've put in 2 weeks notice, which is like you're saying you're resigning, or you're saying you quit. Maybe I've only resigned because I'm
planning to resign in 2 weeks.
I'm planning to resign in 2 to 18 weeks, depending on how this goes. So yeah, you can't really do that. You got to give 2 weeks notice.
Yeah. So the whole reason I'm talking about this is like the way Canada's labor law is set up. It's almost like we have a universal default soft union as compared to the States.
Totally. Like, you can totally describe it like that.
For the States to get as many workers as we just do out of the box, they would have to be in a union.
Yeah.
So if Canada becomes the 51st state, they're not going to just scrap all our laws and fucking do everything over. We're going to keep it, obviously. And then the people who live in the States will be like, wait, what?
Yeah. Canada gets that? Yeah.
You don't just get fired?
It would be like if North Dakota got all that and people are like, North Dakota gets that? That's bullshit. Right? Yeah. Like it's the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Who lives in North Dakota? Bunch of fucking freeloaders.
Here's a good question.
People would lose in the US if they annexed Canada and realized how much we pay in taxes, they lose their fucking minds.
Yeah, but we don't pay that much more.
Fucking minds. Dude, compared to like Washington and Oregon, we pay so much in taxes.
Oh yeah, but they don't have free healthcare.
Yeah, they don't. But that's true. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, our taxes is fucking ridiculous. Like, if somebody didn't know anything about Canada and they're like, we got annexed and we like,
wait, don't they have sales tax too?
It's by state. It's not federally mandated, right? So it's like Oregon pays zero tax.
Really? Like not even income tax?
They pay zero tax.
What the fuck?
You gotta look this up. But Oregon also is fucking falling apart. It's a pile of shit city.
How do they build their roads? How do they pay their policemen?
That I don't know exactly, because it's all private. It's all private. It's not like, because we have the RCMP in Canada, which are a federal police force funded by our taxes.
Yeah. Wait. So
some jurisdictions have private police forces, and they're funded by the city government, who collects like taxes. But they
so they do pay taxes.
They do pay. They pay. I think they pay property taxes, that's what funds the police and the fire and stuff.
As a guy who still rents, because housing has been
a little out of reach.
Out of my reach. Fuck you guys and your property taxes. I don't care. No offense, Jeff. As a homeowner,
that hurts. But I also pay tax on the 2 acres of random land we own.
Yeah, I don't care because I don't have to pay. Whatever.
Much.
Get rid of income tax. You guys could pay all that shit. I don't care. And
Yeah.
if you
Thanks.
want to
Thanks,
make
man.
it so I can afford a house, then yeah, I'll pay some tax.
Yeah. Agreed. I don't know. It's
Okay.
pay to play. We got.
Let's play some pretend and let's.
Oh, okay.
We're almost at the end. We've talked more about politics than we reasonably should have because of all my vagueness. If the States gets annexed, or if Canada gets annexed by the States, and they set up like not one state, but there's like 13 states, 10 states and three more states from the territories.
Territories, sure.
It's 10 and 3 because the only reason I know that it's 10 provinces,
Guam referred to as?
What?
What's like Guam referred to as in the US? Like, hold on, I'm going to find out what that is.
Anyways, the only reason I know it's 10 provinces and 3 territories is because a guy I used to work with, Dave Breckenridge, has a podcast called 10-3. And he's the editor-in-chief at the Edmonton Sun, so I know someone important. But anyways, so this happens. Canada is part of the US. It's divvied up. It all makes sense. I don't know. Big brain people did it.
The US does have territory. So like Guam, for example, is a territory of the United States.
It's like Puerto Rico, isn't it? It's like a
self-governing
state or self-governing.
Self-governing territory. Yeah. So they would just be territories.
Oh yeah. Yet another reason why we won't become the 51st state, because it can't even get Puerto Rico.
Can't even get Puerto Rico.
Okay. So let's pretend. This is Pretendville.
Okay.
It's not even in the future. It just happens tomorrow. Government actually works and they figure all this shit out. Okay. So Canada is just part of the States. That means you could go live anywhere in the States. Your Canada passport is now a Canada-US passport.
Yeah, it's now national, just gets a whole new definition.
How far into the States are you moving?
Oh, God. I don't know. I don't think I would. I think I could stay here. Really? Unless I can get to Florida because it looks fucking crazy and I just want to go live there.
That'd be crazy. I would live in Washington. I want to go live in, I just want, we have the most temperate weather in all of Canada, but I want just a little
warmer,
a little bit
more temperate.
And I want,
actually, Northern California for me.
I don't even want it to be warmer or more temperate. I just want this weather without this many fucking people like we live in Vancouver.
Yeah.
I want Vancouver without Vancouver. So I'm going to go live on the coast of Washington in Anacortes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
that's my dream.
Anacortes is nice. Yeah, like I see your point. It's like yeah, because like Vancouver is everybody crammed into one little area that's on the coast. Because like you go any further north on the coast, it's inaccessible, right? Like the only other major city along the coast is fucking Port Renfrew, and it's not Port Renfrew. Port, what the fuck is it called? Yeah, not Port Renfrew. No,
that is a port. That sounds.
No, it's not. That's on the island. The only place that kind of has land on the coast, but it starts to become harsh. Oh my God. The City of Princes. Our old drummer lives there.
City of Princes? Prince Rupert?
Yeah, Prince Rupert. That's it. Thank you. Yes. Wow. You got that from that. Well done. I'm proud of you.
Well, it's the only one I know that has Prince in it besides Prince George.
Prince
Rupert. I know Prince George isn't on the coast.
So Prince Rupert is like the only other coastal larger city in air quotes that's like habitable. And then after that, the terrain's fucking destroyed. It's like, it's disgusting. It's wild beyond there. Right?
It's like what people die in.
People die in that. People totally die. They're like he went for a walk and then he never came home.
I'm so fucking over Vancouver, but I can't leave this area because I also don't want to do winter at all.
Yeah, man. I know.
And I don't want to deal with
you deal with snow.
Any of because LA's on fire right now again.
Yep.
And the one nice thing about Vancouver is we basically don't have to deal with the repercussions of climate change because it's always going to be wet and it's always going to be cold, but not as cold as the rest of Canada.
Yeah.
And it'll never dry out because it's just like we're like a sponge and we sucked up all the water. Yeah. Like people keep saying that Richmond will sink, but whatever, it's Richmond. So
people still give me shit about this all the time. But one time I tweeted back on the old Twitter app.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's a year where people were complaining about drought in Vancouver. Like, it's going to be a drought. I'm like, it's fucking Vancouver. It's going to eventually rain, right? No one said shit about drought in the last like fucking 5 years where it rains for 40 days straight. Hard to have a drought in a place that fucking rains. It's a rainforest. It's like, yes, I'm not denying climate change. I'm absolutely 100%. I think climate change is happening. It happens. So what happens with climates? They change. Vancouver is never going to dry out.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's always going to be wet here.
That's funny. Me and Andrew were talking about
You're not going to have a drought in Vancouver. You're just not going to have a drought here.
Because we're talking about it because the fires in LA.
You might have a period of drought, but like outside right now, shit's wet. Today was a bright sunny day and everything was fucking wet because it's still wet because it's saturated with wetness from fucking 40 days of rain. There's never going to be a drought here.
Yeah. And it's true. Like we could have less water than we usually do, but it's still absolutely so fucker, especially you and me. And like, where we are in Burnaby by like Burnaby Mountain, we're like
in a rain shadow.
Wet.
Yeah, we're more wet all than the regular
time. Vancouver.
Totally. Right. Like, actual Vancouver has some flat spots where like people will be like, oh my God, the grass is brown. It won't be brown forever. It's in the winter. It'll be green and muddy for the rest of for the whole time.
Yeah. So the point is
freaking out right now.
We have this like, I mean, it makes sense why there's so many people here because it's like we have the ocean, we have rivers,
it's beautiful.
We have the rainforest. It's beautiful. It doesn't get cold.
Dude, I live in the city.
Yeah.
Where I'm surrounded by towers, like where you live. But there's a park right there. And there's trees right there. And I'm surrounded by, and I have a highway beside me and a highway above me. But I have a park right next to me. And there's greenery everywhere.
And the craziest fucking thing is Jeff literally lives like 3 blocks from me.
Yeah. And I live in a goddamn lush forest.
And he has a park beside him. And I have a park beside me. And they're not the same park.
They're not the same
We
park.
each have our own parks.
We have our own parks. Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
And if we drive 5 minutes, we're in the fucking forest.
Yeah. Totally.
Like legit forest. Like when it was COVID, we were scared of bears.
Yeah.
That's how legit our forests are. There's like bear sighting signs in our neighborhood.
Yeah. Like it's weird how much city Vancouver is, but then how much outdoors Vancouver actually is too. Right. Like there's wilderness here, but there's also fucking giant skyscrapers and mass commerce. Right.
And it's funny because it's like that's the main reason why I'm like love Vancouver.
Yeah.
Is because of the nature. And it's like you go to Calgary, which is probably the greenest city in Alberta. And it's pretty green compared to the other ones, but it's nothing like here. It's like, and here it's like, because it's so wet, it's almost like you have to fight nature back.
Yeah.
Like if you leave, like
we talked about mold in the attics last week, like mold just grows in places because it's fucking wet here all the time.
And if you have a backyard and you don't like
trim it,
fight the fucking nature back with a sword,
fight the nature back.
It'll be overgrown in like
I own a machete. I own a machete for that purpose. For literally for hacking back wild blackberry bushes.
Like in Alberta, is anybody fighting off nature with a machete? No.
But this guy is.
So that's why I want to live in Anacortes. I want all this,
but without people,
without the fucking people.
Yeah, I get you, man. I get you.
And I don't have anything against people. I just fucking hate them,
dude. In Washington too, like Chuckanut Drive. Like if you ever get a chance to go down,
best name ever.
I know, best name ever. If you go down that road, it's fucking amazing. You have a bay. And there's like just cabins. It's just it's amazing. And it's like it's like an hour and a half from here.
Yeah.
And there's no one there. And it's just like sparse housing and a beautiful bay. And it's on the ocean. Like, what? I wish we had that here.
Yeah, dude. It's like
we have what's his face? Fucking yoga pants living in an $82 million mansion, hogging up fucking 8 lots.
Who's yoga pants?
The Chip Wilson.
Oh.
The founder of Lululemon. Like the most expensive properties in 2024 just came out the other day, and his is, again, $82 million. It's basically 6 lots on the Spanish banks.
I mean,
like taking up
he kind of deserves it for how much pleasure he's given perverts by women just showing off, like lifting and separating their ass cheeks, and like by their behalf. Like if it wasn't for like Lululemon. We'd be in mom jeans territory still.
Oh my God. Well,
I mean, they wouldn't be mom jeans, but they would be like, remember when we were in high school And there's like, we went from mom jeans, like we just missed mom jeans, and we went to baggy pants.
I was right in the grunge era. The bigger pants, the better. That was where it was.
Even the tight pants, there's garbage. And then Lululemon comes across, and it's like, you could tell butts. And it's like, some people don't understand how much that helped perverts. And basically, Lululemon turned the entire world into ass men. Like, we were all tits before.
That's because all we had access to.
It's because we're like tight shirts, hell yeah. And then everybody like tried to wear like jeans, and we're like, whatever.
It's funny how you can be swayed by access to things, right? Yeah. No one was an ass man until we had yoga pants, so you can see asses now. Everybody's an ass man.
Yeah, and then we're like, oh, that's what they look like.
I've always been an ass man, bordering on pagophilia, but it's
pagophilia.
Look it up.
Nice.
But yeah, I've always been an ass man. But yeah, yoga pants were an extra special boost to that. Not that I'm a pervert, but you know.
I mean, hey. I come from a long line of perverts on my dad's side. Yeah. Oh my God, I've already told the ice cream joke. It's my favorite joke of all time.
No, I don't.
It's not my. Okay, I'll tell it.
Don't tell it. Don't tell it.
No, I'm telling it.
Okay, we're gonna get banned from YouTube again.
I already said Fauci so bad. Okay. So the reason this is the funniest joke is not because the joke is funny, but my dad told it to one of his friends, and my 6-year-old sister heard it. And then my grandpa on my mom's side was a tight ass, pearl clutching tight ass guy from Alberta. And my dad was like a free living pervert guy, and it just fucking annoyed me.
Your dad was a Dutch dude living in Canada. Yeah. Free living pervert.
Well, my grandpa was Dutch too, but he was just like
different eras of Dutch. Yeah. Your dad went through the 60s.
Yeah. So this is the joke. And okay, but keep in mind, because my sister repeated this joke to my uptight grandpa and just offended him horribly.
You're gonna have to quit the podcast.
I didn't appreciate it because I was only 5 years old at the time. Maybe she was 7 and I was 6. I don't know. But anyways, right around there. So the whole point of this joke is the joke is funny, but the reason it's extra funny is because my sister repeated it, not knowing what it meant, but just saying the words, and then just seeing my grandpa like just get super butthurt and uptight. One time we were golfing and I did a cartwheel, and my grandpa thought I was being too like happy, so he kicked me in the ass. That's the type of guy this guy was.
I had a grandpa exactly like that. I had like a war grandpa who was like, "Don't fucking do anything. That don't move. Are you moving?
Don't have fun.
Yeah, stop having fun. Do you know that I shot fucking 9 guys in Korea? Okay, cool."
Yeah. My grandpa never went to war, but he would have probably loved it. Anyways,
he probably he totally
here's the joke. So this guy's walking down the street and he sees an ice cream store, and he goes into the store. He's like, I'll get a piece of ice cream. I'll get a single scoop. And the guy's like, hey, what flavor? He's like, I don't know. Well, I feel the chocolate or strawberry. And the guy's like, hey, why don't you try this new flavor? And the guy's like, oh, is it good? The guy's like, it's the best you've ever had. And he goes, oh, okay. And he comes, and so he's like, what's the flavor called? And the guy selling the ice cream is like, pussy. And the guy buying the ice cream's like, whatever, must be like one of those newfangled deals. So he goes out and he like tries it, and he comes back. He's like, this ice cream tastes like shit. And then the guy selling the ice cream goes, well, you took too big of a lick.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. That's totally a joke my dad would tell. Because my dad, I remember in the 80s, my dad told a joke, and he was like, what did Cinderella say when she got to the ball?
Yeah.
Like, God damn it. I'm 8 years old. I'm not supposed to know that yet.
Jokes that if you tell now, people are like, oh, you're thirsty. Get out of here.
What's wrong with you? Why are you like this? Who made you this way? Let me tell you who made me this way.
Just like incel jokes.
Fuck, man. Yeah, totally. All right. We didn't get through all the topics, but I think we did a really good job tonight.
We'll save them for next week. What day is it?
Sunday.
Okay, I just wanted to mention the TikTok ban.
Oh yeah.
We're not going to talk about it. I just wanted to say It's supposed to happen the 19th, the day before Donald Trump gets sworn in. So we'll fucking see what happens.
Do you think that's actually going to happen?
No.
Okay.
Trump likes it now. He's like, I like Trump. I like TikTok. Barron was on it. And they just realized.
Sorry, I don't even know who is going to ban TikTok.
Joe Biden made the law
because of the connection to China and possibly stealing information.
Well, that's their excuse, but the real excuse is too many people saw what Israel was doing, so they're like, we got to get rid of this fucking thing.
Okay,
but the whole thing is Israel's almost done doing what they're doing, so they don't fucking care anymore.
They're almost done, Dale. Is that what you're going with?
Yeah, we don't want to breach.
No,
but like what Israel set out to do, they're pretty much almost done because Palestine is flattened. Yeah. There's no hospitals anymore. There's no schools. Everybody's displaced. They've done it.
Yeah.
Whatever. They've defended themselves. We'll put it that way. But anyways, so that was like what they were saying was the real reason they're trying to ban TikTok.
Right. Gotcha.
And so they don't really have a reason to ban it anymore. Right. Plus, it's too good of a propaganda tool, so I don't think they'll actually ban it.
Oh, if anything, okay, I guess we'll see. So,
if because they're saying like they're either going to ban it or they have to sell it to an American company.
Okay, that they have to. Someone's going to force them to sell it to a U.S. company.
And then Kevin O'Leary wanted to buy it.
Oh my God, fuck that guy. Anyway, I digress. Kevin O'Leary lick my.
Yeah, I just want to know what the price tag would be for TikTok.
Oh, it'll be more than. It won't be an actual price tag. It'll be valued at price.
Well, would it be more than Twitter?
Was it 44 million? 44 billion? 44 million. What was it?
44 billion.
44 billion. That's fucking. There's not even a number that makes any sense.
Well, he didn't want to pay that. He wanted to pay 20, but then it was funny because when Musk went to buy TikTok, he got a look under the hood and he's like, this is all fucked up, you guys. This isn't worth all this much. Yeah. And it was funny because Twitter at first was like they sued to not let him buy it. Yeah. But as soon as it passed that he was gonna buy it, he saw what it was. He's like, I don't want to fucking want this. So like, too bad. And they sued him to make him buy it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. You already looked at it. Yeah, totally. You looked under the hood. That's it. You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I find the whole like banning social media thing to be a wild concept in general. Like, are they only banning it because it's Chinese? Like, why have they not banned Facebook yet? Which we were going to talk about that too, but we can talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about Facebook next week.
That next one. That's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention TikTok.
And it could potentially get worse. Yeah, exactly. And it could get worse by next week.
What? Facebook?
Yeah.
Well, it could.
Wait, check. I don't even go on Facebook, so I'm not really the target market for that.
Also, I don't actually care about TikTok because Vine was around before TikTok.
Oh, but the only
reason Vine went away was because since TikTok's based out of China, they didn't have to deal with copyright laws.
Right.
So TikTok started with people playing copyright music without paying for it and getting away with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So TikTok is built on lies.
It's built on lies.
Just fucking nuke it and bring Vine back.
Love it. I love Vine. I would love to have Vine back. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
And with that,
we wrap it up.
All right. And until next week.
Oh, fuck. I blew it.
Until next week.
Stay angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it. We did it.
We did it. Hoorah.
And we probably didn't cancel ourselves.
No, maybe. We'll see. Find out next week when we cancel ourselves.
Over the top.